What's going on? Good morning, Tampa Bay. Happy Thursday. Hopefully, you guys are staying dry. It's pouring outside right now. Hopefully, you're staying dry. Hopefully, you are. Hopefully, the wind's not getting you too much. No bad hair day for me over on this end, but hey, yeah, it's kind of crazy outside right now. I know it's only a tropical storm, but hey, I'd be lying if I told you that I didn't feel like this wind was just as strong as Hurricane Ian coming through here, which is kind of crazy to me. But anyway, we've got a nice show lined up this morning. We're going to celebrate the Orlando Magic's huge win over the Dallas Mavericks without Paolo Banchero in the lineup as he missed the game with an ankle. And then, of course, we've got the NFL Week 10 Pick'em slate to go through. Nice lineup of games. You've only got 4 teams on a bye. This is not the Hell Week bye. If you're in fantasy, not that bad. Not that bad. We've got Baltimore, Cincinnati, the Jets, and the Patriots are all on a bye. Not too crazy, but hey, good slate. I mean, if you're running through some of these matchups, Minnesota and Buffalo, some of these matchups are really solid. Look, I mean, Dallas, Green Bay would have been solid, but we know how Green Bay is playing. Chargers and 49ers. Looking forward to some of these. Hell, even the Monday night game, not that bad of a matchup between Washington and Philly. Not that bad of a matchup. But before we get into that, let's roll through. Let's celebrate this Orlando Magic. They are now 3-9 on the season. I know, 3-9, big deal. But it's still a W. It's still a win, and it was a convincing win. 94-87 over the Dallas Mavericks, who are now 6-4. One of those 6 wins is over our Orlando Magic. The Mavericks were up by double digits at one point. The Mavericks were up by 10 points. We now saw an Orlando Magic team continue to fight back. We know that the Magic can fight back. They've shown us this on multiple occasions. But the issue is we know that they struggle to hold a lead. They shot well from the field, 49.3%. The Mavericks shot 37.6. That was largely part of a huge difference of this, right? My big takeaway, still have a lot of turnovers. 19 turnovers and 6 turnovers. It's still things that need to be cleaned up. There's still issues that need to be cleaned up. They won the assist battle, so that's great. 2017 in the assist battle, which is great. But we've got to get better at protecting the ball. We have to have better protection because we can't expect to have very many wins when we're putting up 19 plus turnovers a game. You can't expect to have a great season, right? It doesn't matter how well you guys are playing. If you're turning the ball over that much, you're going to have problems. If we're looking at, let's roll here real quick. If we go here, leading the league in turnovers, San Antonio has 16.8 per game. We're sitting 27th, tied with the Houston Rockets at 16.3. You're still on the wrong side of that spectrum. That's what that boils down to for me. And a lot of it, like I said, a lot of it comes from young guys trying to do too much. I was talking to our buddy Corey yesterday, and you're like, wow, this team actually looks formidable without having Paolo Banchero in the lineup, because you kind of assume that, hey, you lose your best player, things are going to be in trouble, right? It's not going to be a pretty game. On the flip side, all of these guys have played together before, right? Like, there's already camaraderie between the rest of this squad outside of Caleb Houston. Everybody's played together. So it's not like it's something new, right? They kept the core together. Much to the chagrin of some of the fan base, they kept the core together. All of these guys played together last season. So the one wrench in the gear, if you will, from this team progressing, and this is this is not even remotely close to being like a knock on Paulo. But the one wrench in the gear in terms of that chemistry flowing fluidly is Paolo Banchero and Caleb Houston, because they're the only new additions to this team. That's it. They're the only new guys on the team. Everybody else has played together. So it's, and it's not a bad thing. You're going to have a rookie. And if you have the number 1 overall pick, you accept them with open arms. And then when your number 1 overall pick is currently sitting 16th all time in points per game, not a bad day. You take the good with the bad. You roll with the punches, because all that it's going to do is Banchero's going to continue to get better, which is scary because he's already really, really good. I talked about this earlier in the week. Banchero is leading the entire rookie class in points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game. He's doing it all. And for a team that we all thought that we were going to be in bad shape. I mean, and if you don't lie to yourself and say that you did not think that it was going to be a difficult game last night with Paolo Banchero being out. Don't tell me that it didn't matter. Like, you were comfortable with it, right? We know that Dallas is a very good team. We know that you've got to watch out for Luka, who is now leading the league in points per game, by the way. Luka's leading the NBA in points per game. But you had Luka. I mean, if you look at who the Magic have played this season, though. You're talking about Luka, 34.8 points per game. Steph Curry, 32.6 points per game. Donovan Mitchell, 31.9 points per game. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 31.6 points per game. You've had 4 of the top 5 point scorers in the league have already played against the Magic. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody sitting there going, well, maybe that's why they're so high. But I mean, these are guys that are routinely in the top 5 year in and year out. Giannis is the exception. He's number 4 right now. They just haven't played against Giannis. And I'm sure Giannis will have 30 points. Right? I don't think that's going to be, that's not an unattainable number if you're Giannis. That's what he does. Doncic's only going 24 points on 9 of 29 shooting. If you didn't watch the game, you look at the box score and go, man, Doncic was just off. And you go, well, yeah, he was off, but also they played him really, really well. He was getting contested shots. I mean, he was struggling. The Magic did everything that they possibly could. They watched the game film. Remember, we talked about this yesterday morning. I want to see how they improve. I want to see what the Magic do to stop Luka or slow Luka down. Spencer Dinwiddie went off 29 points. He didn't score that many points in the first game. Somebody stepped up. Tim Hardaway Jr. in the first game, I think, had like 20 points off of the bench. He had 5 points. Not bad. You look at our starters, you had Franz at 22 and 6. Dell had 13 and 12 boards. Bull had 11 points, 7 boards. Suggs had 12 points, 7 boards, and 4 assists. And then we got Mo Bamba off the bench, 12 points. Caleb Houston, 8 points. So it was solid all around. Terrence Ross had an off night, 3 of 9 from the floor in 30 minutes. 6 points. He had an off night, but the regular season now is tied 1-1 between the Magic and the Mavs, which is great because the Mavericks are a top team in the West Coast. In the Western Conference, the Mavericks are one of the top teams. And now you're looking at an Orlando Magic team missing their best player, assuming that things were probably going to go poorly for them, and it didn't. They came out on top. You look at look at Brooklyn and New York last night, 112-85. That's kind of what you would have thought what's going to happen. Missing your best player. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to basketball. It's not like football where you can kind of disguise missing one guy, unless it's a quarterback, of course. But that's how that works in basketball. One player has so much influence on a game that if he's out or he's hot or he's off, it's going to significantly, easy for me to say, affect the outcome of that game. And that's what I thought was going to happen. That's not what happened. They played so well. They made the extra pass. I don't know how many times I was texting that. Hey, wow, look, extra pass. Hey, wow, look, extra pass. And it was impressive because it's fundamentally sound. We say this all the time. Jamal Mosley is one of the most fundamentally sound guys in the game. I couldn't think of a better head coach for such a young core than Jamal Mosley. Some of these sports books, not BetUS, thank you very much, not our partners over there, but some of these sports books have Jamal Mosley listed as the first coach to get fired this season, which I think is absolutely crazy. You don't fire a head coach who has one of the youngest teams because they're not performing as well as some of these more experienced teams. Like that's just weird to me. Dwayne Casey is up there with the Pistons as well. The Pistons are the youngest team in the league. The Magic are top 3 young in terms of youngest team in the league. You're not going to fire these guys. So that, to me, that's just a very weird dynamic to have to even get into and kind of like figure out why we're talking about Jamal Mosley being on the hot seat. The Magic started 3-9. If anybody told you that you thought that the Magic were going to start 9-3 or 6, what are they, 12 games in, or 6-6, even 500 to start the season, you're crazy. This isn't the old NBA where there's like one really good player or a good 1-2 punch. Teams are winning games now. Full teams are winning games. This is what the NBA has become now. Super teams are no longer a thing. Look at the freaking Los Angeles Lakers. They're 2-9. They can't figure anything out. They're on a 4-game skid right now. Can't figure a damn thing out. Look at their team on paper, and that's a super team, but they can't get it done because that's not what's winning. That's not what's winning in the NBA anymore. Teams like the Orlando Magic that's why the Bucks, right? That's why the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship 2 years ago. Because they figured it out. Was it 3 years ago now, right? I don't know, it's early. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why the Bucks isn't working. Why that isn't working. It's not working because it's not a team. The Nets were arguably better before they got Durant and Kyrie. Right? Like it's a weird dynamic, I know, because somebody's going to sit there and go, "Did you just call KD a bum?" No. But it's not a team game. It's KD's team. And he's not a leader. The Magic, it's Paolo Banchero's team. But everybody has their part. Everybody plays together and they're learning how to gel and how to work together. And it's fun to watch the dynamics of this Orlando Magic team come together. Right? We expected Franz to have or to take that leap ahead this season. Right? He had a good rookie season, averaged just over 15 points per game. He's taken that leap. I was very hard on where I thought I wanted Wendell Carter Jr. 13-10 to me is just a little under the tick of where I wanted him to be. I wanted him to be somewhere around like 17, 18, and I guess like 15, 14 boards per game. So the outing we saw from Dell last night is exactly what we need from him. You're never going to complain if he's going to play better, but that's about what we need from him. You need him to have a double-double every night. That's what you need. You need Wendell Carter Jr. to average a double-double. You need Franz to do his thing. You know he's good for at least 15 points, 15 plus every single game. And then the bench is in rotation. You got to remember, we're still going to get Markelle Fultz back. At some point, we're still going to get Jonathan Isaac back. No matter how good or ineffective Jonathan Isaac is, he will come back and he will be a warm body sitting on that bench. And he has to make some sort of impact, right? I don't think that you just like push off a former number 5 overall pick and just say, oh, well, yeah, he's trash. You know, is he made of glass? Yeah, but is he trash? He wasn't before. I don't think that he played top 5 pick potential when he was playing before the injury. But maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder, because I can't be the only person who have thought that. I cannot be the only person who thought that Jonathan Isaac was not living up to his billing. So when he comes back, we've got now, I mean, you're looking at a very well-rounded team. You're looking at a team that all of a sudden went from, okay, when the starters go out, something bad possibly can happen because the bench isn't good. Well, now you're looking at a former starter in Jonathan Isaac who's going to be coming off of the bench, because you're not going to sit Paolo Banchero. You're not going to sit Wendell Carter Jr. to start Jonathan Isaac, right? Then you're going to have Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, and Jalen Suggs in your backcourt. And then you've got Franz on the wing. Like, this is now developing and becoming a very deep but still very young team, which is exactly where you want to be if you're rebuilding. If you're rebuilding your roster, you want that team to be in that position. The team is young enough to where you go, okay, well, yeah, you know what? X guy didn't work out. Y guy didn't work out. You know, but Z guy works out. So we're going to move X and Y. We'll keep Z. And then you just plug in new guys, right? Like that's all you can ask for. It's a perfect dynamic for the Orlando Magic and a absolutely perfect setup. They got the Phoenix Suns tomorrow night. That's going to be, I mean, Phoenix is always a tough team, right? Phoenix right now is sitting 8-3. It's going to be a tough outing for the Magic. Hopefully Banchero's back. He's listed as day to day. I did hear rumblings that he possibly could have played yesterday, but they wanted to hold him out just to be on the safe side. So we'll see. Maybe he takes the court again tomorrow, and see if they can't capitalize on this momentum and get two wins, because 2 of their 3 wins are against playoff teams, right? They beat the Golden State Warriors, defending NBA champions, and then they beat the Dallas Mavericks last night. So, you know, beating the Phoenix Suns is not out of the realm of possibilities for this young team. So we'll see what happens when they take the court tomorrow. We're going to get into the NFL Pick'em slate for Week 10. We're going to talk a little Bucks injury report news. Before we do that, going to take a little pause for the cause and talk to our friends at BetUS.
Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Oh boy, NFL Week 10 Pick'em, baby. Can't wait. We're going to start it off Thursday night football. The 4-5 Atlanta Falcons are traveling to the 2-7 Carolina Panthers. Another snooze fest for Thursday night football. I mean, let's call a spade here, shall we? It's another snooze fest for Thursday night football. Falcons are favored by 2.5. I don't expect the Falcons to not win this game. I do hope that Cordero Patterson plays a lot, and I hope Cordero Patterson scores a lot because I just pulled him off of my IR in fantasy. So I would love to get a big game out of Cordero Patterson and just help solidify my turnarounds. If you haven't been following my trials and tribulations of my fantasy squad this year, somehow some numbnuts owner dropped Jalen Hurts 2 weeks ago, and I picked him up. If I showed you my roster and showed you my record before Jalen Hurts, you would have thought that I was undefeated, but I was 3 games under 500, and now that is not quite the case. So let's go Cordero Patterson. Big game from you. PJ Walker was replaced at halftime last week by Baker Mayfield. I assume that Baker's going to start. I haven't even checked the report just because this game, I know it's a division, it's a divisional opponent matchup, but it doesn't really interest me. I know what I'm going to get out of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to kind of get something similar to what we get out of the Orlando Magic, a very young team that's still trying to get their footing and put it together. But I don't care about the Falcons, right? And the Carolina Panthers are just an absolute circus. They have no idea what's happening at quarterback. They don't know who they're starting. They don't know. Chuba Hubbard is up and down in injury. Deontay Foreman is up and down in injuries. Like it's such a crapshoot with who's going to play over there that this is definitely a lost season if you are the Carolina Panthers, who are apparently playing for the first overall pick. Because you have to think that whoever's going 1-2 is probably in need of a quarterback. Carolina's definitely in need of a quarterback. Even if they think Baker's the guy, he's only on a 1-year deal. They didn't extend him when they traded him to get him from Cleveland. So he's still a free agent at the end of this season. Even if he turns it on, and sure, he's still young. But I think that we've already seen from Baker Mayfield that he might not be a franchise quarterback. He might not be somebody that you want to keep around for 6-7 plus years, right? Because he's not, he's almost too vocal to be a franchise quarterback, right? Like how many times did we see him take shots at the Cleveland media? And sure, the media was harsh on Baker in Cleveland. But you're the starting quarterback of an NFL team. The media, you are basically the face of the quarterback is the face of every franchise. Let's be realistic and call it what it is, right? The quarterback is the face of every franchise. If your team is playing well, you're going to get all the props. If your team plays like crap, guess who gets crapped on? Quarterback. So Carolina, to me, I don't want to say they're tanking, because I don't like using the term tank, and I don't like, I want everybody to play competitively week in and week out. But I want to see a solid game out of these two. But I expect Atlanta to definitely take the victory. As Atlanta is favored money line wise, they're favored by 2.5 points too. So, Munich, baby. Welcome to Deutschland. Our Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Seattle Seahawks are heading over to Germany today, which is weird because in the past, most teams would go over like the Monday after their game and kind of spend a week over there. But I mean, that's what they're doing now. I guess, you were able to get in a Tuesday and Wednesday of practice before making your flight over there. Bucks are favored by 2.5 points. Of course, these odds are all courtesy of our friends over at BetUS. Head on over to betus.com. Sign up a new account. Use the promo code Channelside. They're going to hook you up with 125% deposit bonus. So if you like the Bucks getting 2.5, drop some money down. Head on over to betus.com, most trusted source online for 3 decades, and use the promo code Channelside and get yourself hooked up. I don't know if I can comfortably say that I like the Bucks in this game. I think it's weird that the Bucks are still favored given what we've seen from both of these teams thus far through the season. I think that it's very strange that they're favored. However, the Bucks had a big win over the Los Angeles Rams, who, even though the Rams are now 3-5, the Rams are still the defending Super Bowl champions. I feel like this is a prime game for the Buccaneers to win. Tom Brady is undefeated overseas. Sure, he's never played in Germany, but whether he's played in London, or in Mexico, he's undefeated. He's 4-0 in those games overseas. I expect him to be 5-0 coming back. The Bucks hit the bye week 5-5. Not a bad way to turn it around after having that losing streak. You get on your own winning streak now. Now you've got 2 games under your belt. And then more importantly, you're knocking off an NFC team as well, which could affect playoff seeding in the future. Obviously, unless the Bucks should win without any question. They should win the NFC South anyway. And the Seahawks are probably going to win the NFC West the way it's looking. I think the only team that's really going to challenge them in the NFC West would be the 49ers. Who I think are finally turning it around. I think that Christian McCaffrey was the missing piece for that team, and Eli Mitchell's coming back as well. So you're now looking at a Seattle Seahawks team that's sitting 6-3, possibly going to be 6-4 after Sunday if I have my way with it, because I'm picking the Bucks. Only possibly going to be a game up if the 49ers knock off the Chargers on Sunday night. So if that happens, then now you're talking about this game severely affecting the Buccaneers and playoff seeding, right? Just because you win your division doesn't mean you're automatically going to be, they don't look at the division as a whole and go, well, the NFC South is a trash division. They've got the Panthers. They've got the Saints, who can't figure anything out. They've got the Falcons. Every team in the NFC South is currently under 500, right? They don't look at it like that and go, well, so you're going to be the 4th ranked team. You're still based off of your schedule. You're still based off of your win totals, and then you're based off of your head-to-head if there's any sort of tiebreaker. So this game does become very important in terms of playoff seeding and playoff implications already this early in the season for the Buccaneers. So it's very important for them to get this W. Cameron Brate was back at practice, full practice yesterday from the neck. Mike Evans limited, still has that rib injury from the Mike Evans sandwich that we saw on the first play of the game against the Rams. Russell Gage out, did not practice. Luke Gedeke did not practice. Julio Jones had his regular rest day. And Shaq Mason had a personal day yesterday as well, also resting the ankle. Antoine Winfield Jr., though, was back at practice from out of concussion protocol. That's a huge win for them. The 49ers, the Seahawks had like 17 guys on their injury report yesterday. Most of them had full practices. The Marquise Goodwin was limited, but I mean, you're not worried about Marquise Goodwin, right? DK Metcalf on the injury report with a knee. Noah Fant on the injury report with a knee. And Tyler Lockett on the injury report with a hammy. All 3 logged full practices yesterday, but especially that hammy. I talked about it yesterday. You have to watch out for Tyler Lockett. He's a burner. You know that he's going to run go routes. You know he's running verticals down the field, but he always finds to catch. He always finds a way how to catch one of those 50, 60-yard bombs, right? Always. Every game. I've been burned by Tyler Lockett so many times in fantasy football that I don't even want to talk about Tyler Lockett. But that hammy, we know about hammies here in Tampa. Every year we've got hamstring issues. Every single year we've got hamstring issues at wide receiver. And Russell Gage, thank you for picking up that baton and running with it with your own hamstring. And by the way, sir, welcome to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't even hold Russell Gage accountable for getting a hamstring injury. It was destined. That's like your initiation if the Buccaneers sign you in the offseason. Julio Jones was lucky that it wasn't a hammy and it was just a partially torn PCL. Probably the best game on the slate for Sunday is a 1 p.m. kickoff. 7-1 Minnesota Vikings. 6-2 Buffalo Bills. 1 p.m. kickoff in Buffalo, Orchard Park, if you will. Bills are favored by 3.5 points. I like Buffalo to bounce back if Josh Allen plays. If Josh Allen doesn't play, they're taking their third loss without a question. That's why I was talking about this yesterday. That's why I think Sean McDermott is going to play chess with this. I don't think that we're going to find out if Josh Allen is playing until right before kickoff. I feel like he will be suited. He might even be throwing practice snaps. And you've got to throw off the Minnesota Vikings, who are rolling with the 7-1 record. You've got to throw them off. Because not having Josh Allen is a huge chink for the Buffalo Bills. Arguably a bigger downfall. Might be the biggest downfall in the NFL when Josh Allen is out. Right? I mean, you look at Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes goes out. I don't even know who the backup quarterback is in Kansas City. Right? But if Patrick Mahomes goes out, they can still run the ball. They still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They can still run the ball. They still have Isaiah Pacheco. Buffalo can't run the ball with Josh Allen. We think now all of a sudden Devin Singletary is going to be able to run the ball. Right? They traded Zach Moss. They got Nyheim Hines. But we didn't really see anything of Nyheim Hines. So that's arguably one of the biggest downfalls if Josh Allen misses this game, which I have a feeling they're going to take this loss on the chin and play the long game. Because they're still going to be the favorites in the AFC. Regardless of Kansas City likely beating Jacksonville, they're still going to be the favorites in the AFC. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it going, okay, well, I really expect Josh Allen to sit out this game, rest up that hyperextended elbow, because you're playing for the Super Bowl. You're not playing to go 7-2, right? You're playing for the Super Bowl. The difference between 7-2 and 6-3 is not egregious. I know the AFC East has started out hot. The Jets are off this week. You're lucky in that one. The Dolphins have the Browns are probably going to win. They're going to improve to 7-3. And you did lose to the Dolphins. So the Patriots are also off. So I think you take this one on the chin if you're the Buffalo Bills. Rest Josh Allen, play the long game, play for the playoffs, play for that number 1 seed, and play for the Super Bowl. That's what your goal should be. Right? Minnesota at some point is going to be Minnesota. It could be in this game. You could put Josh Allen in this game, risk further injuring that elbow, and Minnesota implodes the way that Minnesota does a couple of games every single season and plays like garbage. That could be this right now. That's exactly what this could be. I know they got I know they have a new coach over there. But I haven't seen enough from Minnesota to think that they're not going to be Minnesota, right? Like, that's the trend. To break the trend, you have to break the trend. Go through this entire season without implosion, then I'll give you your props next season. 2-6 Detroit Lions on the road, battling out with the 3-6 Chicago Bears. Justin Fields had himself a week last week, broke Michael Vick's rushing record. The Bears are favored by 3 points in this. I want to say that I feel like the Detroit Lions are going to come out firing, kind of ride that momentous wave. The Bears did their thing. They're going to see Chase Claypool from Justin Fields. They're going to see David Montgomery. I mean, the Bears are a good 3-6 team, right? I've talked about this before. The Bears are going to be happy wherever they finish. And that's because they've got $67 million in dead cap space coming off the books in the offseason. They've signed a bunch of good value players. That's what this team is loaded up with right now. They've got their franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. They now might have their franchise wide receiver with Chase Claypool. They've got their franchise running back with David Montgomery. Two of the guys they drafted, one of the guys they just traded for, obviously with that being Claypool, and they didn't have to give up a whole lot for him. You know, he just kind of worked himself out in Pittsburgh. And now he's looking to revitalize and kind of go back on that trend and that upwards path towards being a wide receiver one. I think if you're looking at the Chicago Bears, it's impressive that they're 3-6 and almost upset the Dolphins, right? On the flip side, you could say the same thing about the Lions. So who do the Lions have? The Lions' number one wide receiver was TJ Hawkinson. Traded him on this season, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown is inarguably their best wide receiver. He's missed some time, though, with an injury. And he's also a 4th-round pick. Sure, what he did in his rookie season was fantastic. He finished his rookie season in the last 8 games with better stats than Jalen Waddle, with better stats than Jamar Chase. And you're looking at a 4th overall pick that plays with a chip on his shoulder. But you've got Jared Goff. Yeah, you've got DeAndre Swift. If DeAndre Swift didn't miss time, I have no doubt in my mind that he would be one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL and arguably top 5 running back in the NFC. Arguably even leading the NFC. Can't stay healthy. You know, defense, atrocious. Kirby Joseph, first Detroit Lions rookie ever to win NFC Defensive Player of the Year, not of the week, not Rookie of the Week, not Defensive Rookie of the Week, but Defensive Player of the Week. First Lions rookie to ever win that honor. Huge. It's always got to feel good to beat Aaron Rodgers, regardless of where Aaron Rodgers and his team is at. Right? It's always got to feel good to beat Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see. Like, this is a very even keel game. It's a very close matchup between the two of them. I'm going to go Lions in this one. I'm going to go Lions. I've seen the reason why is because the Lions have played pretty even keel, right? They've played when they're healthy. DeAndre Swift will be there. Amon-Ra St. Brown will be there. But when the Lions have that, you know they're going to score the same way that they scored against Miami. The same way that Chicago scored against Miami. I just don't know if I trust Justin Fields enough. Because we've seen Justin Fields go way up and way down and way up and way down. And he's had a very rocky career to this point. And I know it's largely in part because Darnell Mooney was his wide receiver one, who also couldn't stay healthy. Now you got Chase Claypool, so it's a little different story. David Montgomery can't stay healthy either. Right? But for everything that we know, the Chicago Bears team is up and down, while the Detroit Lions at 2-6 are very even across the board. Atrocious on defense. Stepped it up last week against Aaron Rodgers, but typically atrocious on defense. And then they move the ball and score points in bunches on offense. At least in the first half. Which is a conversation for another day. The 3-5 Denver Broncos travel to the 5-3 Tennessee Titans. Russell Wilson will not be wearing his wristband because he won a lot of games in Seattle without wearing a wristband with his plays on it. The Titans are favored by 2.5. Don't like anything that I see out of Denver. There's in my mind, Maybe I'm more disappointed. I was going to say, in my mind, I don't think there's any team that I'm more disappointed in than the Denver Broncos this season, but I think the Raiders might take the cake for that one. Um, so one of the teams I'm most disappointed in this season is the Denver Broncos. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Broncos. The Titans are figuring out a way how to get it done. Derrick Henry is coming back into midseason form. Midseason. How's that for redundancy? But I got the Titans over this. I like what I'm seeing from Tennessee. I think Tennessee just continues to roll and get it done. Jacksonville takes their 3-6 record to Arrowhead to take on Patrick Mahomes and the 6-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 10. Not liking it. Not liking the matchup if I am the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can assure you that. Not a big fan of that. I'm still maybe this is just kind of being, it's not even a homer pick, right? But like, I like the pieces that the Jags have. I like watching, Trevor Lawrence figure it out. Travis Etienne is an absolute stud running back. Evan Ingram is stepping up and he's playing well. But it's the Chiefs, man. Nobody wanted to give the Chiefs any credit coming into the season. Nobody wanted to give the Chiefs any sort of credit coming into the season, myself included. I'll call myself out. I'll eat that slice of humble pie. 7-2 for the Chiefs after this game. I think the Jags do keep it close in this one, but it would be a huge upset, and it would not be the first upset for the Kansas City Chiefs on the season. I would love to see the Jags knock the Chiefs off, but smart money tells you to go with the Kansas City Chiefs on this one. Although that -10, that spread is nice. Cleveland Browns 3-5 on the road down in Miami to take on the 6-3 Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by 3.5. I like the Fins. What can I say? Like the Fins. I think that they've still have the most explosive and the scariest offense in the league. I think an extra week with Bradley Chubb on the defensive unit is going to help an uptick of this. And plus, I think Jacoby Brissett, who knows that Deshaun Watson will be back in 2 weeks, I think Jacoby Brissett is going to try and do too much to try and keep Cleveland, because Miami is going to score a hell of a lot of points. And I think Jacoby Brissett is going to try to keep up with that, and he's just going to do too much, and it's going to cause chaos and a havoc for the Cleveland Browns. And essentially almost welcome, which is weird to say, but almost welcome Deshaun Watson with open arms. And that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of angry people, and rightfully so, with what Deshaun Watson either did or was accused of doing. You make your own determination. I play the fifth and play right down the middle. And don't say anything about it either which way. That's how I work. Dolphins for sure. They move to 7-3. Browns drop to 3-6. 6-1 Houston Texans on the road against the 6-2 New York Giants, coming off of their bye. Giants are favored by 5. Next. Giants, come on. Every team that has played against Houston has burned them on the ground. And Saquon Barkley might close in on a 200-yard game against the Houston Texans. He might close in on a 200-yard game against the Texans. If you're Saquon Barkley owner in fantasy, you're very welcome for what you're about to see this week. That's how I see it. The 3-6 New Orleans Saints on the road against the 2-6 Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, the Steelers are also coming off of a bye. The Saints are favored by a point. I'm going to go Pittsburgh, especially being at home, coming off of a bye. We know how good Mike Tomlin is as a head coach. We know how Mike Tomlin prepares the troops. And New Orleans looked absolutely abysmal on Monday night. It was actually embarrassing to watch the New Orleans Saints when you've got arguably one of the greatest Swiss Army knife players in your backfield in Alvin Kamara just standing around while Andy Dalton plays like crap. Just standing around. Just hand the ball off to Kamara 30 times then, right? Like, check it down to him 7, 8 times. Let him make a play. He's getting paid a lot of money, and rightfully so, because he earned that payday. Alvin Kamara ran Mark Ingram out of New Orleans the first time. Mark Ingram was still a very good starting running back, and he was run out of New Orleans because Alvin Kamara took that reign. He took the reins and just ran with it, and he made that his team. He made it his team, but it's such a weird dynamic to have such a great player and just not use him. Every other week they use him, and that it's a very weird thing. But I've got Pittsburgh in this one. I think Pittsburgh gets it together. They come up 3-6 in a division that's, the Bengals started the season rocky. So the AFC North is kind of wide open right now. I don't think the Steelers are going to win it. I still think it's Baltimore's division to win. But, I'm looking at a team going, okay, well, hey, it's not a sewn up division. That's all I'm saying. Cincinnati could still turn it around. 2-6 is a hard hole to get out of, though. It's a very hard hole to get out of in any division. 3-5-1, Indianapolis Colts on the road against the 2-6 Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders are favored by 6. I have absolutely no idea who I truly like in this game. We saw the Raiders get it going with Devontae Adams last week. 10 receptions, 2 touchdowns, still lost. Josh Jacobs, one of the league leaders in rushing yards, can't win. 2-6. All I'm going to say, and I know that this is a Tampa Bay sports-based program, but all I'm going to say about the Las Vegas Raiders is that after John Gruden was let go, Rich Bisaccia did a damn fine job filling in as that interim head coach, got that team to the playoffs, and didn't even get looked at in consideration to be the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders this season. They had their sights set on Josh McDaniel, and how is that working out for you? Rich Bisaccia did more with less than Josh McDaniels has done for the Las Vegas Raiders. You have the best wide receiver in football, and you're likely not even going to make the playoffs. And all you did was add. That's all the Raiders did, was add talent. Josh Jacobs wasn't even healthy last season. Look at what he's doing this season as a healthy running back. That's karma for the Las Vegas Raiders right there. With all of the BS off of the field, with Henry Ruggs III in the car accident, killing the other driver, with the John Gruden situation and the emails and whatever you want to believe or not believe about John Gruden. But that was still a factor weighing in on the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't think of his name, the guy in the secondary that was out there toting his gun around. So many off the field issues. Rich Bisaccia took that team to the playoffs. I don't care if it was John Gruden's team that he built or he coached. I don't care about any of that. Rich Bisaccia was the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders for the majority of the season and took that team to the playoffs and wasn't even considered to be the head coach because they wanted Josh McDaniel so damn bad that now Rich Bisaccia is the special teams coordinator in Green Bay. That, my friend, is karma for the Las Vegas Raiders. 6-2 Dallas Cowboys on the road against those 3-6 Green Bay Packers. Packers are underdogs by 5.5. Late season underdogs at home. Also a new thing for Aaron Rodgers. Dallas is rolling. I do not see Dallas going into Green Bay and losing this game. I see Green Bay taking another L, dropping to 3-7, and the fans starting to melt apart on social media and start calling for Jordan Love. This also is karma for the Green Bay Packers, who signed Aaron Rodgers to such a ridiculously stupid contract. You had the Carolina Panthers interested in trading for Aaron Rodgers. You could have traded Aaron Rodgers and rid yourself of these problems. You could have been 3-6 with Jordan Love on your team. But no, instead, you're hampered and you're handcuffed by this stupid contract. And you're still sitting with the same record that you could have had Jordan Love with. That, my friends, is called karma. Dallas picks up the W, 7-2. 3-6 Arizona Cardinals traveling to the 3-5 Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford's in the concussion protocol. If Stafford's out, the Rams lose. If Stafford's in, the Rams win. I'm not sure which way I'm looking at this. Rams are favored by 1, so it's going to be pretty even. You know, I think actually Arizona may come in and steal a win. I think Arizona is finally getting it together. They're building up that chemistry. DeAndre Hopkins came back, first game back, had 10 receptions. You know, who would have thought that Rondale Moore would have stepped up, had double the targets that DeAndre Hopkins had last week. Zach Ertz is getting into the mix. You know, Benjamin is doing decent. James Conner is okay. But we don't know why the Rams are struggling. That's the problem. We don't know why the Rams are bad. And I think that continues to play factor in the Rams losing these games. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one, going into Los Angeles and sneaking out a very important divisional dub over the Rams. 5-3 Los Angeles Chargers on the road against the 4-4 San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored by 7.5, and they're favored by 7.5 for a reason, because it's kind of a fluke that they're 4-4. Let's call a spade a spade. Sunday Night Football in San Francisco. This team is going to get right. We're not sure what is happening with the Chargers. I honestly, like, as good as both of these teams' defenses are, this could be a pretty high-scoring game. This could be like a 31-28 kind of game. I think San Francisco gets the W. Christian McCaffrey has looked good since he's been there. He's been a very formidable running back. You know what you're going to get from Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be a top 10 running back. You know, I talked about this again before. Christian McCaffrey could be a top 10 running back. Deebo Samuel is a top 6 wide receiver. They've got a top 3 defense. They've got a top 3 tight ends. And they've got Jimmy Garoppolo, who does just fine around all of these players. Surround Jimmy Garoppolo with good talent, and he's going to perform for you. He's done it twice already. 1 Super Bowl bid. I got the Niners on Sunday Night Football, which brings us to putting our bow on the Week 10 slate. 4-5 Washington Commanders on the road against the 8-0 Eagles. Eagles are favored by 11. Biggest difference in the point spread of the week. Eagles, I think, improved to 9-0, although I do feel like the Washington Commanders will keep it a little bit closer, because Heineke is a good quarterback, man. I think Washington keeps it a little closer than expected, but the Eagles still kind of comfortably win. You know, it might be close for, 3.5 quarters, and then the Eagles, score a couple TDs at the ends, and then you're looking at a double-digit win for the Eagles. But I think the Eagles pick up the W, finish this week out 9-0, best start in franchise history, and all of a sudden you're looking at a potential. I don't even know if it's a potential. If you look at any of these NFC teams, and I know we want to give our Buccaneers, I know we want to give them some love, but who in the NFC is better than the Eagles? Are you confident in saying that the Minnesota Vikings are better than the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm not. I think that the 49ers are a better team than the Minnesota Vikings, if we're being totally honest. I think the Cowboys. Yeah, I don't see any NFC team that is better than the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the NFC bid to go to the Super Bowl is definitely going to run through Philly. Very, very much so. I don't see any team that is close. Giants are 6-2, but the Giants are like a surprising 6-2, right? Like nobody expected the Giants to be 6-2. The Seahawks, a very surprising 6-3, but I think they're going to pick up the loss in Germany. I think the Bucks are, they're going to sure up. They're going to go into the bye week 5-5. But I don't see any team that's better than the Philadelphia Eagles. It was once assumed that the NFC Championship was going to run through Tampa Bay, and it's there's an off chance that we get back to that point, but it currently, without a question, I mean, I'm looking at the rosters, I'm looking at the schedules, I'm looking right now, I'm trying to figure this out on the fly, and there's not a team that's even remotely close in my eyes in the NFC to the Philadelphia Eagles. It definitely, the NFC is running through Philadelphia, and if I'm Tom Brady, that pisses me off, right? If I'm Tom Brady, I'm very frustrated, and I'm very angry with that. We'll just have to see. It's going to do it for us on this Thursday edition of Channelside in the Morning. Thank you for those who tuned in. Thank you for those who hit the old thumbs up button. Make sure you follow us on all of the social media platforms. Just search for the Channelside Sports Network. We are Tampa Bay's next generation of sports talk. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow. Got the Magic preview. Got the Suns. I mean, it'll be a fun show. We are always fired up on Friday. Maybe we'll get Henry Yoho on here, talk a little Bolts. Never know. It'll be a fired up Friday. Make sure you guys keep it locked right here, Channelside in the Morning. I am Danny. I will